Welcome to my office. Wanted to try something different today, but something that I've been talking about many times in previous videos, in previous iterations of this channel, is the idea of having your own living space. I've realized that this is something probably very pertinent to the introvert. You know, I think that if you live with family, or if you live with so-called friends, i.e. flatmates, as an introvert, you don't really have the space and the freedom to be your true self. And what I mean by that is many of us introverts, we really need space to think, you know, not even in a way that has an aim. It's a very aimless, very passive thought process that many of us have, but those processes are very important because it stabilizes us, it gives us inspiration and motivation for future endeavors. You know, it bestows us, generally speaking, with a knowledge that you can't learn in a book, you can't be taught it in a lecture hall. It's something very innate. And it's something that only introverts can cultivate and then eventually articulate. It's basically the root for all inspiration, right? That comes from within the human soul, and then it comes into the world via expressing it, creating it, maybe creating a video that you thought about in your head that might touch and affect people around the world. You know, when I was speaking about moving out, living alone, for example, a lot of my talking points was about the comfortability of living alone. I lamented quite a bit on the ability for the fact that you can use the toilet, have a dump in peace. Funny enough, if you pan the camera around, one of my bathrooms is just right there. Obviously, there are some creature comforts that you can have when you live alone or when you have your own place. But again, it's more about having an environment where you are 110% comfortable, where you can 110% be yourself, where you can 110% let your guard down, put your feet up and just be you. I think that space is very, very important for introverts because, again, I won't even call it a stereotype. The typical introvert is a homebody. You know, I think we can all appreciate that to varying degrees, obviously, but a lot of our recharging stations, you know, a lot of our replenishment comes from being at home. But in order to complete that cycle, to complete the restoration, that home needs to have a few things to make that process complete. It needs to be comfortable, right? It needs to be a home that's free of grief, disturbances, maybe temperature variations, you know, physical comfort. That home needs to have for you to be fully replenished. And the home also needs to have, if people live in the home, it needs to have people who can respect your space and people who accept you for who you are. Unfortunately, for many people who live with family, i.e. parents, they don't have that because there is a lot of boundaries that are not being respected when you're still in that environment. You know, old mum can just barge in your bedroom and you're a 30-year-old man, but she can do that because in her mind, that household is still her and her children. And you are her children, so she sees you as the same. Obviously, you can have discussions about boundaries and respect. And, you know, you can actually be quite manipulative with it. You know, if you're paying rent, you can say, look, I demand this, this, and this before I pay rent or I'll move out. And to be honest, I think that's reasonable. But you still won't feel that level of comfort that's needed for you to begin to self-actualize. And I know that can be quite a phrase, right, in relation to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But when you look at history, the times where people have developed their literature, their arts, maybe even science and technology, well, probably more so or less so technology, because that is usually in relation to warfare, but definitely in the arts progress when there is a time of peace in that environment or that society. When there's relative peace, people can, have more leisure and encourage or progress these almost secondary or non-essential pastimes, drama, pantomime, play, right? And it's, in my opinion, it's similar to being in the home. If your home is not at a level of comfort where you can be at full ease, let me put it in a crude term. If you can't have sex with the doors open without feeling some sort of shame or embarrassment, then I don't believe that you have that level of comfort. Obviously, everything that I'm saying is within some reason. Obviously, we have walls, people can hear stuff, but I think you understand the gist of what I'm saying. If you don't feel 110% at ease in your home, then there is a process within us that will fail to fire up. And that process is in relation to how introverts attain creativity, inspiration, and also motivation. And it's having a good home is also the thing that brings you back when you've left the home, when you're away, when you're overseas, when you've left it. You look forward to coming home and recharging those batteries. I remember when I lived in my old family home, and it was a broken home, to be frank. And although I like to be in my bedroom because I have all my, luxuries, my video game, my TV, I still didn't feel quite at ease, right? Because the home is broken and also my boundaries are not respected. So the sanctity and the security of being in my own room, I never truly felt because of, the people who I was living with. They could impede and infringe upon those boundaries at any moment. And again, what that will do is it will leave you in a state that doesn't allow you to be fully settled. And that could affect how much contentment you feel. It might make you feel riled up. It will never put you at ease. And, really, when we're at ease, we have a full appreciation of things. That's what I've found out. Now, obviously, it's all good and dandy saying to get your own place and stuff like that. But many of us live in big cities. If you live in Japan, New York, London, it's damn near impossible for most people to own their home. Right? And it's probably even a worse idea to rent privately, right? So I understand that it's not an easy task. Yeah, there's nothing else to be said. It's not an easy task. It's not easy. But I'm a true believer of strength of willpower. I know many guys, younger guys, don't really believe in that, but I believe in that. Where there's a will, there's a way. And in many regards, I'm a testament to that. Where there's a will, there's a way. If your will is strong, if you really believe in it, somehow, some way, you'll just realize that things around you are just being manipulated in a way where it's allowing you to achieve these things. I know that sounds a bit too wishy-washy and a bit too superstitious for some people, but in mine and many other people's reality, that's what tends to happen. Somehow, some way, 10 years from now, you might just find yourself in your own place, in your own home, in your own environment, finally understanding what this guy on the other side of the screen has been saying to you. You know, it's not an easy process though, and I appreciate that. And this is not the video. I'm not the person to kind of teach you how to, you know, this is more financial literacy and skills, resources, right? But I think I just want people who understand what I'm saying to aspire for more. You know, especially those of us in the bigger cities. I want people to not give up and not think that they can't do it, and just be stuck in a lifestyle where they're not fully content. You know, and that lifestyle in relation to this video is being in a home environment that you don't like, a home environment that isn't really helping you to grow, helping you to feel contentment in your environment. And it's very easy in this society to just be in the hamster wheel. You know, we think it's okay, we got our luxuries, we got our video games, we got, our small pastimes, and then that keeps us trapped in that cycle to not even aspire for more, or to not think that there is a better situation, that can come upon us. So yeah, in this video is tagged one of my videos where I show you when I'm moving homes, and that's when I rented the flat. And sure, renting is expensive, but renting is also another way to experience what I'm talking about. And I think high rents and high expenses, especially when you're young, sure, it might not be the wisest move or the wisest thing to do, but what happens is that when you're seeing half of your outgoings or half of your income going to rent and bills and stuff, you start to appreciate the work that you do, the money that you make, the life that you live. You start to understand more about your environment, your nation, the economy, and you respect it a lot more than you would if you were just living, probably like 5 to a house in a flat share or within family. A lot of it comes across as easy. Now, of course, it's smart to live in that type of situation if you're building for the future, if you're saving money for a house, etc. Obviously, that makes sense. But in some cases, I find that many people aren't really doing that. They might say that, but they don't really have those aspirations. They're just happy in their comfort zone. Many people living in this environment or in this situation, they got good equipment, good technology, good vehicles, so they seem content. But I still truly don't believe that you will be 100% content in the mind when you live in a situation that doesn't put you at ease, particularly as an introvert. And I realize that the reason why I keep hammering this point in different iterations of my channel, in different videos, is because I really just want to convey and fully express that point of view, because it's super important. When you have your own space, your own home, whether it's rented or whether you own it, it affects you in a way that puts you at ease, makes you feel contentment, but it can also inspire you, motivate you, and drive you towards something else, towards something more, something grander. Perhaps you are paying a load of money for rent and bills. It could be that situation that offsets a thought process in your mind that leads you to a better profession, a better career. You're starting to think about new opportunities. You're starting to realize that you're not stuck in this role that you have. You can change something. That sort of do or die situation. It's very reminiscent of life, to be honest. It's very reminiscent of the fight or flight response. We have to, in my opinion, life is this way, right? It is always shaking. There is an earthquake happening somewhere. You know, it's never just settled and placid and a straight flat line all the time, right? And I think that personally, I fully embrace that about life. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I just say all that to say introverts really need or should aim for their own home environment. You know, I think most of us can all appreciate that we are homebodies and we do a lot of restoration or restorative work at home. But the place that we call home might not actually be home. It might just, you know, we might have a bedroom, but outside of that bedroom is some form of chaotic happening, right? Some stuff outside of your control that can just take you out of your own personal peace. And I think that is very destructive, and it can impede our own personal, maybe even spiritual development, right? And so this is why I always talk about this. It's very important to aspire for at least your own place. You know, sometimes I think of the old quote unquote Bushmen, you know, the people who still live in a sort of tribal settlements, and the peace and freedom to just build your own home with your own raw materials, with your own effort, and call it your home. You can decorate, you can do whatever you want. You know, that's another thing about owning your own home, the fact that you can paint, you can change the decor. You know, that in itself is a creative freedom that we should aspire for, because it's, you know, again, the color scheme in your home will also represent you, right? And it will also affect you. You know, I think the color wheel and the color theory is very important to understand, and the way different colors make us feel and affect us. You know, so even just having that ability to customize your home, very important. And it's one step nearer to the so-called self-actualization on top of the pyramid. What I'm saying, obviously, it's not groundbreaking, but I just think it's a good PSA for introverts. You know, I really want to put the focus on introverts, because I think these sort of personality tropes are the root of so many other things, you know, and I think it's not spoken about enough. It's not thought about enough. It's easy to scapegoat people and call them loners, or to have people have no friends, losers and stuff like that. But I think we really need to understand and also lean into what it means to be an introvert, and also understanding extroverts too, and what affects them, because we all have to work together in this world at the end of the day. But what are your thoughts? You know, do you have your own place where you can be mentally settled, or do you have the opposite of that? Let us know what you think below in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next one.